Coming up on today's show.
Let alone the things that we want to do. And then the holiday comes and there's all this added stress of, the gift shopping and the gatherings. And so it's really overwhelming.
The secret to peak productivity. What is the secret? How do we achieve that?
Most common need associated with productivity is time management. So you hear a lot of different techniques and ideas for managing time. And the truth is that we can't really manage time. If you have 10 years worth of stuff in your to-do list, even if nothing else got added, right, it would take you 10 years. But the truth is things get added daily. So it does tend to feel really overwhelming. So what I recommend is, first step is to look through and really delete.
What do we do after time management?
So once you kind of master time management and you find the systems that work for you and the calendar systems and the reminders, are you going to use a paper planner, electronic, what kind of reminder systems and all of that. Once that's working really well, then now you should be feeling really under control, and you should have found at least another 2 hours a week.
Staying productive during the busy holiday season. Today on Keeping You Organized. Hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized, and it is holiday time and we have lots on our plates, even more to add to our already busy schedules, and we're gonna help you be productive during this time, if you can believe that. And we have with us Tamara Miles you're in the Massachusetts area, is that correct?
That's right outside of Boston.
Awesome. Great. So we're going to talk today about productivity. You wrote the book, The Secret to Peak Productivity, a simple guide to reaching your personal best. And I think sometimes people just kind of throw the idea of productivity out the window when it comes to the holiday time, because I think we got so many things happening, extra responsibilities, parties, things like that. So let's apply those principles to how we stay productive during these busy times of the year.
That sounds great. It's really overwhelming with the holiday season because we already feel like we don't have enough time in our days to do everything that we have to do, let alone the things that we want to do. And then the holiday comes and there's all this added stress of, the gift shopping and the gatherings. And so it's really overwhelming for all of my clients to try to fit it all in, because you don't want to just be doing stuff. You want to also be able to enjoy and be present in those parties and gatherings and all the good things about the holidays.
Okay, so your book has a tease there, The Secret to Peak Productivity. What is the secret? How do we achieve that?
So the secret, if I had to just put it in one word, would be choice. Choice, because I think a lot of people feel like they don't have control of their days, and you hear a lot of most common need associated with productivity is time management. So you hear a lot of different techniques and ideas for managing time, and the truth is that we can't really manage time. It just happens. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, and so I approach it from the angle of choice management. We can manage the choices that we have of things to do in a certain time frame. And so, time management, productivity is about making the right choices and choosing to do things that are going to move you forward in your goals.
Okay, so you must have some kind of filtering system or something where I'm presented with, several different options. How do I choose? What are the tips and techniques for making the right choices?
I think the first step is to realize that, sometimes you're just kind of caught in the wheel. That's what my clients describe feeling like, just a hamster. They're just reacting to things, and they don't know how to stop, because they feel like if they stop and try to make a choice of something else to do, then their email is gonna pile up, and they're gonna come back to 300 emails in their inbox. And so I think taking a step back and starting at the beginning is really important. Instead of, if you're in the middle of chaos, it's really hard to then think, oh, I'm going to start making choices and aligning my goals. So I always like to start at the bottom with getting organized. I think that is the first step of kind of making you feel in control. and just getting organized in your surroundings, be it in your office or in your home, and creating systems for filing and for putting away things, getting rid of things that you don't need. That incredibly triggers a lot of feelings of control, and people really start making better choices when you have to choose physical things. Am I keeping this? Am I going to give it away? What kind of filing system am I going to use? It kind of starts training you, and it starts kind of triggering an upward spiral of productivity and feeling of control. So then if you kind of start small, and then you go to email and you create systems for email management so that you're not using your inbox as your to-do list, and you have a system where you check your email, but you're not constantly connected to your inbox, and you only check it in the times of day that you choose to check. So you're not constantly reacting to email, but you're using it as a tool, a productivity tool. And then you get to time management, so then you have to have control of those things first. And for time management, I use plan, prioritize, and perform. And I think the choice really comes in prioritizing. And that's when you're planning, you're thinking about everything that you have to do. So if we bring it back to the holiday season, right now, you probably have a huge to-do list at work with everything that you have to do for just to kind of wrap up the year. So that's probably a huge list. And then at home, if you're hosting the holidays, a lot of people like to decorate, and then you have to go shopping. A lot of people host families, so you have to get the house ready for that. And then, if you have children, maybe you do a lot of gift shopping for gifts and planning all of that. So I think the first step for planning is to write it all down.
Yeah. So are you saying like write everything down, but not necessarily on your calendar right away, and then do you kind of go through and do it like that?
Exactly, like a brain dump,
Yeah.
If you will. Just get a piece of paper, but write everything down in one place. A lot of people have like 8 different to-do lists, and it's really hard for them to keep track of, to see the big picture when it's all kind of chopped up in different places. So I like to write everything down in one place. And that usually feels even more overwhelming because now you can really see how much you have to do.
Right.
But that helps you choose, because when you see it all, then you have to decide, because you're going to have a lot more to do than time to do it in. So that's where decision really comes in, and that's what's important, because then you're really going to be able to plan your days with and make the best use of your time.
I know sometimes I feel like I've got this list that, okay, I've got all my things down on one list. I've done the brain dump, but I feel like, okay, in order to get through this list, it's going to take me 10 years. So
right.
How do you break it down so you're not feeling like, okay, this thing is way too big, now I can't do anything because I'm just overwhelmed?
Right, exactly. So the first thing is take a deep breath, and the truth is, if you have 10 years worth of stuff in your to-do list, even if nothing else got added, right, it would take you 10 years. But the truth is, things get added daily. So it does tend to feel really overwhelming. So what I recommend is, first step is to look through and really delete. So think about things that you can say no to, things that maybe would be nice but are not that important, and start kind of deleting those things. And then you can delay some of the things too. You can choose to do them still, but not right away. And that's when you kind of start planning, okay, I really want to do this. There's no way it's going to happen in December before the holidays. So, after the holidays, February tends to be a good month. It's slow. And so you start planning, and you kind of move tasks and projects and planned activities, or things you hope to do later on, and then you're left with things that you really have to get done. And then those things you can then either try to delegate some of them to some people that might be able to help you, ask for help, and then choose the things that you're really going to do yourself. And then those things you have to then add to your calendar and choose a time and commit to getting them done, and kind of plan your days and schedule your activities. I think it was Hera Taylor that said, writing things on your calendar makes you go from intention to commitment. So you're intending to do them, but once you schedule them, you're committed.
Now, how about the person who, has a lot of things that have to be done right away, but maybe, and enough things to be done right away that maybe they're putting off some of those things they really want to do. I think Stephen Covey used the Quadrant 2 activities that, they're not urgent, but they need to get done, to satisfy all your goals and everything. How do you balance that out maybe in a calendar? Do you put a certain percentage of the other ones in there, or how do you get through that process?
Yeah, so I love Stephen Covey's method, the quadrant method of prioritizing, and I use that a lot with my clients. So once they do the brain dump, I have them kind of try to see where those activities would fall. And, the truth is, I think most people confuse things in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So I think the shift is understanding that, where are these urgent things coming from? And is it other people's priorities, which is what it usually tends to be? And how can you make your needs and your activities and your self-development a priority? And so I think that that part of doing that is not so much in tools of prioritizing in your calendar with a number 1 and number 2, but it's more having the self-discipline and really understanding what your goals are and if they align with these important things. Because Stephen Covey says, that quadrant 2 is where success happens, right? That's where but it's the easiest one to ignore. So I think it's really kind of once you do the brain dump and you choose the activities you really want to do, and then you prioritize to what's important and urgent, but what's important and not urgent, it's making the time and putting those things on your calendar and scheduling them and making sure you dedicate time to do them.
Awesome. Well, speaking of quadrant 2 activities, we've got to take a quick break here. But when we come back, I want to go beyond time management and go to the next level or part of this process of how we stay productive during the holidays. So we are with Tamara Miles and talking about how to be productive during the holiday season. We'll be right back. Looking to get your home organized but don't know where to start? The newest ebook from Smead will help you with room-by-room organizing tips given by the top professional organizers in the nation. Download your free copy now at smead.com/room. That's smead.com/ROOM. Smead, keeping you organized. We are back now on Keeping You Organized. During the holiday season, things get a little crazier, so we're trying to focus on how to be more productive during the holiday season. We have Tamara Miles with us from Tamara Miles Consulting. And so before the break, we were talking about time management, which is a real key factor, and we talked about how to prioritize things and get them in the right order. What do we do after time management?
So once you kind of master time management and you find the systems that work for you and the calendar systems and the reminders, are you going to use a paper planner, electronic, what kind of reminder systems and all of that? Once that's working really well, and then now you should be feeling really under control, and you should have found at least another 2 hours a week in your months and days. So you have a little extra time. You're not constantly reacting. And I find that that's the perfect time to think about your goals. And the next level I call activity goal alignment. And that's when you're really going to take the time to think of your goals for your business. If you're a business owner, do some strategic planning, think about the goals, short-term, long-term goals. If you're an employee, you're thinking about, what's my job description? What are my main objectives? What am I going to be assessed on at the end of the year? What do I need to really focus my efforts on? And then at home and in life, you need to think about all your goals. What are your goals for your health and your, time with family and hobbies, etc. So you should take the time to think about your goals in all aspects of your life, and then make sure that they are SMART goals. And I love the SMART acronym because it kind of helps you create goals that are going to be easy to execute. And SMART stands for specific, so you have to be very specific about your goal, measurable, so that you can know when you achieved it, actionable, so that you can actually take steps to do it and it feels achievable. R for relevant, so thinking about why does it matter to you, so that you're more motivated to achieve a goal, that it's not something you think others might want you to do, but something that really you want to achieve. And then the T stands for timely. So in a time frame. So do you want to do it by the end of the year? Do you want to do it by the end of 2 years? So if you word your goal as a SMART goal, then the next step is to break it down into tasks so that you can actually schedule those tasks into your calendar and and achieve the goal. So an example of a goal, a personal goal, might be that and we're at the end of the year, which is a great time for goal setting. And, people like to do resolutions in January. So instead of just doing the same old resolutions, maybe it's a year where you do a little strategic resolution setting, where you do more of the SMART goal setting. So an example, if you're setting a personal goal of wanting to spend more time reading with your children this year, for example, then some of the activities that you might want to associate with that might be, making sure you're home a little earlier 3 days a week. Maybe you need to cook dinner ahead of time or cook on the weekend and freeze if you're not going to be home so that you can have the time at the end of the night to do some reading. Maybe you want to make trips to the library and pick some new books that are going to be exciting to read with them. So thinking about all the small tasks that are going to help you achieve that goal, and then scheduling those things on your calendar so that you make sure you achieve them. And it's the same thing for business. If you want to increase your sales numbers by 20% by the end of the year, well, how are you going to get there? Do you need to make how many calls a month? Do you need to come up with a new product? Like, what are the steps necessary to reach that goal? And then schedule those on your calendar.
So I just want to make it clear with people too, especially this time of year, because that's what people are thinking about. But we want to make sure we kind of got our systems in place, right? Really, before we start into goal setting. I mean, that's pretty important to do.
That there are two schools of thought on that, and my experience working with hundreds of clients, if you take a top-bottom approach where you start with goal setting and then you trickle down and you only work on those things that are directly related to your goals, and so you're prioritizing by default, because if it's not part of your goals, you're not doing them. That's one approach. I find that it's really hard for my clients to make the time and have the mental bandwidth to think of their goals when they just feel like they need to catch up, when they just feel like they can't breathe and they're drowning in to-dos and papers and tasks. It's really hard when you don't feel in control to have the time and space to really think clearly about your goals. So I like to have the systems in place first, but again, it varies for everyone, and somebody might find that they need to goal set first and go from there.
Now, as we move up the pyramid, we've got, let's say we've got our goals and tasks. Is there anything higher on the pyramid that we need to consider?
There is. So the last level of the pyramid I call possibility.
Okay.
And that is very similar to Maslow's self-actualization, which is being all you can be. Yep. And what I find is that, once you have your systems in control, you have more time in your weeks, then you set goals, and now you're scheduling tasks on your calendar that are helping you achieve your goals, then you start feeling even more in control, and you see how it really, how having control of your life and setting goals can really affect you positively. And it creates an upward spiral. And I think people tend to feel inspired and think about goals that they might have had years ago that they put in the back burner and haven't thought about because they were saving it for when they had time. Well, now they have time. So they can think about things that they wanted to do, like volunteering or starting a new hobby, learning a language, learning something. So it's kind of continuing to grow as an individual and being kind of, achieving balance and being all you can be. So that's the last level.
Yeah, and even tying that back to, what we talked about earlier, choices. If someone has that freedom to make those kinds of choices, it really makes for a better life, doesn't it?
Definitely, it does.
Great. Well, we're just about out of time. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your business a little bit, what kinds of clients you work with. Do you just work in your local area, or do you do virtual? Tell us a little bit about your services and how people can reach out to you.
Sure. So I'm a productivity consultant for business clients. I work with small businesses and corporations. I do productivity consulting and coaching one-on-one. And I do local businesses, but I do a lot of it via phone too. So I can, I have some clients nationwide, but I also have local clients. It's a little bit of a mix of both. A lot of what I do as well is speaking. I do a lot of keynotes and workshops on time management and productivity and the whole peak productivity pyramid and how that ties into everybody's daily work and organizations. And so the best way to reach me is on my website, and it's tmiles with a Y, TMYLES consulting.com. And if you just want to learn more about the peak productivity system, you can grab my book. It's called The Secret to Peak Productivity, and it's available on every retailer nationwide.
Great. And we'll include those pieces of information in our show notes as well. So if people want to get a hold of the book or want to get a hold of you, they can do that just by going to the episode page for this episode. Well, now I feel better. I feel like I can take a nice holiday break here, go to some parties, have some fun, and start the new year ready to go, I guess, because I think I'm going to be at the top of that pyramid.
Right.
That's how I feel right now, at least. We'll see.
That'll be your 2015 goal to end the year in the possibility level.
Yes. And then we'll have to check back with you in February or March to make sure that we've actually achieved what we've done. So.
Right.
Great. Well, Tamara, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing again from you soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Tamara Miles, getting you productive during this busy holiday season. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back with more of Keeping You Organized coming up next time on Keeping You Organized.
The freedom that we have gained from being able to set our own schedules can also be a constraint because not everybody understands how to handle that freedom.